the Philippines was mentioned there. Okay? So after a long negotiations between the State of Israel and the Philippines, it was finally concluded in 2018, and you're the fruit of that bilateral labor agreement. Anyway, let us concentrate later, because most of you caregivers have so many questions about your work. For example, a lot of times we receive messages, how do I leave my employer, or like that, no? For us Filipinos, we like to have our rights, always our rights, but sometimes we forget our obligations. It's very important to balance these two, no? Our rights and obligations. So Kavla Obed is here, our very good resource speakers are here, and if you have some questions to ask them, and so many questions I know, please be free to ask them, okay? Because sometimes we also ask them when some situations we cannot answer, we ask them, okay? Thank you very much, and welcome again. Good morning.
Thank you, Labat. So, may I ask also our ATN, in charge of ATN, Vice Consul Pat, to say her message to everyone.
Okay, so good morning po.
Good morning.
Hi. I'm very pleased to meet everybody. Welcome also to Kabla. Okay, so ano lang po, this will be short and sweet from me. So this is a very warm welcome on behalf of the Philippine Embassy. So I'm Vice Consul Pat. Just to say, so I'm the head po of the Assistance to Nationals. So anything po, and in a few moments, si Josa, yung Assistance to Nationals officer po natin, she will be here also para ma-meet niyo po siya. So any concerns you have, anything you need, you can contact us. And of course, yung mga consular services po. So if you need, so we're open, no? We're always open for you to accommodate, whatever na you require. So yes, so we hope today you will get clarity po, maintindihan niyo po yung mga all you need, rights and obligations, and may mga questions po sila, you can raise it. So yes, so that's all po, and we're very happy to have you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so to continue, we first give you why we are here. Okay, the reasons why we are here, having this activity today. So we have been receiving encountered problems, as Labat had said earlier, of some of you regarding work conditions, procedures, and other issues like resignation and transfer of employment, etc. Although you have received briefings and orientations from the POAA and I think CINI here, we still wanted to give you more learnings and guidance. So hence, the objectives of the seminar are to provide information and education about workers' rights as well as the obligations, to know the workers' issues and problems during your employment, and to promote welfare and protection of workers by providing you support mechanisms on encountered issues and problems. So, to provide all of this, we invited the NGO partner of the embassy, the Kabla Obed team, led by Attorney Maytal and her companion, Madam Zehabit. Attorney Maytal is the head of the Legal and Advocacy Department. Previously the Caregivers Department. So to discuss the issue. So recording will also be done by Mr. Ichi of the proceedings, so that I think it would be used to in the Facebook page of the Kabla Ubed. Okay, to be shown in the Facebook page of Kabla Ubed. So lecture discussion will be up to, I think, 12 o'clock. And afterwards, savings promotion will be done by RCBC. So anyway, you will be asking questions later.
Okay, and who's here for like between 3 and 6 months? Okay, and who's here for longer than that, like a year? Okay. So I want to say something about we're gonna hand out surveys by the end of this presentation that are specifically for you guys, okay, for Filipino caregivers coming with a G2G agreement. These surveys are 100% anonymous, and it's good for us to know and also to be able to advocate with the government if there are issues, if there is something that only you can, this information only you can provide for us to know if there is something we can do about it and raise awareness. But it's completely confidential, completely anonymous. Please help us with the answering this survey after the presentation, okay? So I'm going to talk about labor rights, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about your obligations that are important for you to know and to use. I think, like, I know many of you are, if you just came to Israel, you know, you're getting to a new place, you're learning the situation, that you're learning what's going on, and I know that you were getting some information about your rights, about your obligations, and we do want to also hear about that. If there is something that you got information about that wasn't correct, that you didn't feel supported by your agencies or by the employers, but we will just, you know, be very like clear cut about your rights, a little bit also about your obligations, and we're gonna talk. I really want to talk with you, like in the Q&A, and hear you, and also your questions, but also if there are issues that you see that you think we need to know as an organization that works also, like, you know, with direct assistance, but also in system level issues. We want to hear about it, okay? So let's start, and then we will see how we make this presentation a talk, like a conversation, okay? Okay. Next. Next. And yeah, next. Yeah. Okay, so these are the discussion topics. I'm not going to go over it now because it's too much. So we're just going to go one by one and talk about every one of it. Okay, so I didn't say, but this is Zavit Flipman. Zavit has been volunteering with Kabbalovit for more than 15 years. She's one of the first, like, if you hear about Kabbalovit, you probably heard about Zavit because she's answering many questions on WhatsApp, on Facebook. So she's the one to ask questions, and we will, and she will assist me if I say something that is not 100%. I'm sure she will. Okay, next one. Okay, so let's talk about your salary. As you know, right now the minimum wage in Israel is 5,300 shekels. This minimum wage is supposed to go up in April 2023. We don't know what exactly will happen, but as soon as we will, of course, we will publish the full information, and we will also let the embassy know, so the embassy can also talk about it. 5,300 is...
But the first wage was supposed to be only for 100 shekels.
Yeah.
So
now we're...
expectations should not
Yeah. So these 5,300 shekels is including everything, not the weekend, like 6 days a week, okay? 6 days a week, including allowance. It does not include work in the weekend. But as you know, as caregivers, because you are staying with your employer at the employer's house, the employer is allowed to deduct some money, some wages for different things. The first thing is the rent. It's not really like the rent that for housing, okay? It differs from Tel Aviv to the north to Jerusalem, and it differs if the house is owned by the employer or not. Do you hear me well? Yeah?
Yes.
Also, there are other expenses. This is like the amount of money that is allowed to be deducted, okay? From what we see, like on average, the minimum wage for caregivers is approximately 4,400 shekels.
This is not the minimum, this is the average that we see.
It's not the average, we see the average is higher. But we can, so approximately, if you're getting salary that is lower than 4,400 shekels a month, including your 100 shekels allowance, okay? If you are getting less than that, okay, there is a chance you are getting less than minimum wage, okay? So this is something that you need to check. But sometimes, if you live in Tel Aviv and the apartment is rented, then they may deduct more than 4,400. Okay, this is something new from 2022. But what you need to think about, like approximately, okay, 4,400 should be, if you're earning less than 4,400, check it. Okay, and I'm talking about like your salary and also your allowance, okay, including your allowance.
Since this is the crucial thing,
Okay, yeah.
one thing that I want to explain is that the minimum wage after 5,300, after all the deductions, if you get 100 shekel every week allowance, then the minimum wage is only about, I don't know, 4,000 shekel. Okay? So legally, the employer is okay if he pays only about 4,000 shekel plus 100 every week. But in fact, we hardly see now caregivers who get so little. Okay? The average is definitely higher.
From what we saw, the average is approximately 4,700.
Including
allowance.
including, I think, even more, 4,500 plus 100 every week is a very normal wage. So just to let you know what the difference between the minimum legal, and the fact in the market, which is definitely more, okay? And Gal thinks this is a very crucial thing. I let the people ask if they still have questions about it.
Okay, so about salary, about your monthly salary, please feel free to ask questions. Yes.
When I talk with, I think, Attorney Shoshana Strauss of...
Okay, please be quiet so we can hear the questions, okay?
This is from PIBA. She said that the 5,300, so you have to, that 25% maximum deductions from the salary, and it will be 3,975, around 4,000. But she said that the weekly 100 advance, it is an advance in the salary of the caregivers. And it is already computed within the 3,975 or around 4,000. Is that accurate?
Okay, so in our opinion and also the Minister of Economy opinion, 25% is that you can deduct, okay? But it's not like you have to deduct 25,000, right? The
25% is not going to include this. So that means that if you get 3,950, 80, 70, whatever, then you should also get the 100 every week in order to reach the minimum. So this is to be clear. It's not that, okay, actually your salary can be 3,500 plus 100 weekly. No, it's not like that. This is not the idea of 25%. Because if you get only, at the end of the month, only 3,500, that means that more than 25% were deducted. Okay, this is to clearly address the issue.
And we also want to say that this is something that, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but today most of the caregivers earn more.
No.
So we can discuss that, but you need to know that if the point being that, no problem. The point being that if you are earning less than 4,400, come to us, talk to us, okay? We will check it, including your minimum, your 100 check-ins, okay? But come to us, okay? And we will check it with you.
How about the couples?
The what?
What if the couple, you handle a couple?
Okay, so yeah. Okay, so
That is only for one-on-one.
yeah, unfortunately, okay, so we're talking about couples, okay? Or if you're working like in a heart,
Family.
So there's one minimum wage in Israel, okay? So if I work as a attorney in Kabel Oved, and if I work as an attorney in like a high-tech company, okay, then the minimum is the same minimum. Although, of course, when you work for a couple or when you work with a very, very complicated patient, with a very, very complicated patient, then it is a part of the market that allows you to receive more. But the minimum wage is the same, okay? But I do want to add something about this, okay? If you're working with a couple and the couple is receiving bituach, and the bituach money is higher than what you and your employer has discussed, the employer cannot take money from you. They are not allowed to take money back from you. They are allowed to deduct some of your benefits, your yearly benefits. We will discuss this later. But they are not allowed to take money from you if you receive from the bituach agency a higher amount than what you discussed. Okay, and they are also not allowed to use it for Shabbat, for Saturday, for your weekly day off. Okay, we will discuss it further and we will answer more questions. Okay, but I want to continue.
We're going to be at the first.
Pardon me?
We're just at the first.
Yeah. Okay. Next slide. Okay, so overtime, as you know. So caregivers in Israel are expected to work 24 hours, are expected to be at least available for their employer 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. Now, this is something that unfortunately the Supreme Court of Israel had approved of. This does not mean that you don't have a right to rest. Okay, this does not mean that you don't have a right to be asking your employer to rest and to have a good night's sleep. Okay, but This does mean that you are not allowed to get extra payment for extra hours, because as you know, like, you are getting salary for 42 hours a week, okay? But indeed you are working much more. So, but we do know that many of caregivers from the beginning are getting like 2 hours a day or something like that, stuff like that, okay? So it's not like it's not allowed to give you time off, okay? If the employer gives you time off, it's okay. And you are allowed to be dependent, to take it as part of your agreement between you, okay? So even if there's no payment for extra time, but indeed your work is very specific with the hours, okay? And I'll talk more about hours and what to do with hours in terms of if you are working live out, if you are working in a hospital or stuff like that. So we can talk about this more, but you need to understand that even though there is no obligation to give you to pay you overtime, you are entitled to get rest, okay? Okay, so sick leave. Sick leave is accumulated by the worker, okay? So since day one, we have 1.5 sick days per month, okay? So if I finish 1 year, it's 18 days a year. The total amount of sick days that we can accumulate, you know what is accumulate? Is 90, okay? So even if you work for 10 years, you can accumulate only 90, okay? Now, the first day of sick leave is not paid. The second day of sick leave is paid only in the half a day. The third day also half a day, and since then it's regular. The salary is regular. If you indeed accumulated, you have enough accumulated days, okay? This is not part of your vacation or holidays, okay? This is something different. And you need to know that if you are going on a sick leave, okay, you have to show your employer a letter from the doctor giving you the amount of days that you are supposed to get, a certificate of sick leave. This certificate does not include personal information about you. This is something that you need to know, okay? It does not include what is the reason that you are taking sick leave. But you are allowed to take it, and you need to know that you are allowed to take only this amount of days. So, let's say, if something happens and you are sick and you got your sick leave, the employer is allowed to fire you after you finish your sick leave, but not throughout it. If you are on sick leave, the employer is not allowed to fire you, is not allowed to let you go. Never, okay? This is against the law. So if you are on sick leave and you are still with your accumulated days, they are not allowed to fire you, okay? Did you want to add something?
One thing that is sometimes comes up, and there was a verdict on it, that if you are on sick leave, you don't have to stay in the employer's house. You can, but you don't have. You can go to, if you have apartment or friends, this is allowed, okay? But remember, only with the medical document indicating rest on this and these dates, okay? Okay.
And of course, like everything with the caregiving field, as you already know, even if you're here less than 3 months, should be communicated very, very specifically and clearly to the family or to the employer, okay? So if you have sick leave, it should be documented that you show the certificate, Now we have so many ways to document, right? We have WhatsApp. We have we can record our calls. We can send emails. We can be in touch. We can have like recorded messages. This is something that is very, very important for us to have, for workers to have, in order for us to protect our rights. Okay? So keep it in mind. If you want something, if you need something, keep it in mind that it better be documented with the employer, with the agency. Okay? We can go more into it later after we will go over more information. Okay? Okay. So weekly rest day. So the weekly day off of a caregiver in Israel is 25 consecutive hours. Okay? And the payment for it, if you receive less, minimum wage or less, is this amount, 36.1 shekels, almost 36.2 shekels, 362 shekels. You need to know that if your salary is higher than minimum wage, you are supposed to get higher payment for your work if you work on your day off. Okay? The day off. No one. Okay, so I know there is a difference between reality and between the law. Okay?
Expectations.
You are allowed to take your day off. Okay? And the family also, and you are allowed to also explain in your kind of job, which is so intense and intimate, you are allowed to take your day off. And the employer, if you wish to stay, the employer also is allowed to tell you go. Okay? The employer does not have to force you, does not have to let you work weekends, okay, to let you work your day off, okay? And I think that one of the biggest issues of caregivers is also the fact that you work too much.
Too much.
And day off is important, even though you get less money. So my advice in that sense is, to be mindful of your feelings, of your stress, of your situation, and take your day off, even when it's hard with the employer, and even if the family really needs you there. But just be attentive to yourself about that.
Yeah, and one of the things about taking well, there are two different situations. One situation is that you want to take the day off. One situation is that you want to get the money. So if you want to take the day off, try to insist about it from the beginning, and you should not be required to bring a reliever. It's not something that no condition. If you can, it's very nice. If you can, it's very nice. But it's not the condition to take the day off. Say
That's not our obligation.
Holidays and vacation. We will talk about it later. I know how hard it is for the family. So if you have friends, if you can somehow help them in the problem, try to help. But it's
not obligation.
Yeah, that's a very, very important remark. Yeah, let's continue. Okay, so we'll talk about yearly rights that are called sometimes in the not really right name bonus. So I want to break down the bonus, okay? And I'm doing like this with my hands because it's not really yeah. Okay, so recuperation. Okay, recuperation is like well, this is something that was very okay. Recuperation you can only receive if you completed 1 year. Okay. This is something that you are able to receive, like an amount that you are able to receive after 1 year only. The eligibility is 378 shekels per day, which the first year is 5 days, right? Yeah. After you complete 1 year, you're entitled to get 5 days of recuperation, which is like 1,800, something like that, right?
בשנה
כן, first year.
1890.
Yeah, 1,890. The Abit is like doing it 6 days, 6 times a day, calculating. Okay, so this is the amount for recuperation, okay? You are entitled for this amount, no matter what, if you completed 1 year, okay? So this is like the easiest one, okay? Let's continue with the more problematic one. Okay, so annual leave, annual vacation, annual leave, vacation, it's called many chopesh, okay? The annual vacation, okay, is of any worker in Israel, the minimum days that any worker in Israel is receiving is 16 days, okay? 16 days, including 2 days off. So we have 14 days that are paid. Okay, 14 days that are paid. 14 days that the employer should pay you when you are on a leave. Okay, the employer, by the law, should not pay this amount of money of your vacation if you did not take your vacation. Okay? So you get your money for vacation only when you go out to vacation. But listen, this is a long sentence.
Ginamit mo, babayaran ka. Legit na yan.
And now we're talking about,
Dapat pala alis tayo.
we know that many of the employers pay yearly the vacation days, okay? And when you go to vacation, of course you want to go maybe once a year, once 2 years to go home for vacation. They don't pay you, okay? They pay you in advance for vacation, okay? This is something that is against the law, but it is something that is very, very, very common in the caregiving field, okay? Now, you need to know that I want to tell you what is the law, okay? So you need to understand your rights, okay? So, how do you accumulate if you want to go like once in 2 years to the Philippines for a month or 45 days, okay? So, according to the law, you can accumulate your vacation up to 3 years, okay? But you can accumulate only half of the amount without any problems. But the other half, okay, like we're talking about 7 days and 7 days, okay? But the other half, if the employer does not allow you to go on vacation, if the employer does not find a time for you to go on vacation, then it should be yours, okay? So I'll explain that again. According to the law, you can accumulate only 7 days a year, okay? But if the employer did not allow you or did not give you the time to go out on vacation, you can continue and accumulate it, okay? And the employer should say, and the employer should show that he asked you to go on vacation and you said no, okay? In order for them to delete these days. I'm not clear, right?
Well, the law is not clear.
The law is problematic in these issues, but I will try to make it simpler. So the law allows you to accumulate 7 days a year, okay, like half of the days that you are supposed to go out on vacation, because we as Israelis, we just take for 10 days a year, we go on vacation, we come back. We don't accumulate it for a long time, most of us, okay? The law wants to help the worker rest, okay? But if the employer does not allow you to go on vacation, or it's not settled between you that you're taking the vacation, then you are able to accumulate the full 14 days. Okay? In order for the employer to delete some of your days, or to decide that you will not be getting some of the days, because then he has to show a proof that he told you to go, that they told you to go to vacation and you did not want to go. Okay? Now, this is something that is very, very fresh, because until lately, nobody talked about this. Everybody paid 14 days a year until the 5th year, and then the worker went out on vacation when they went out on vacation, and if they went out on vacation. Okay? But we are seeing a difference in the last couple of years since PIBA published something about it, and now the Commissioner for Foreign Workers' Rights also published something about this.
So the agencies may take up.
So the agencies may change their ways around this, okay, around this yearly annual leave payment, okay? But what I want to say, 1 minute, what I want to say is my general rule in this thing is when you go on vacation, you are getting paid, not before.
Not before.
Hindi. Pag lalabas ka, makababayaran ka. Pag hindi ka lalabas.
Not before daw eh, not before. So makuha mo na yung pera. Diba?
Since this is new, I was thinking of some ways around this, how to, we shouldn't, I don't know if this is the place to talk about it, and I think just follow us about it later. We may try to supply you a form at the time of the payment of the bonus, either maybe of some kind of agreement that you will take the vacation later, and the payment will, the full payment for the fully accumulated days will be paid then. We may think about some kind of getting around this new complicated message from the Interior, the PIBA, the Interior Office, and the agencies. So for the meantime, if 1 year finished, if the employer wants to pay you, okay, I don't see any real problem. But if the agency tells the employer don't pay, and that's why he doesn't pay, this is his right, and wait until we will see how to get around this decision that only 7 days can go for the next year, or only 9. Yes.
I'd like to have a common understanding of what is being paid during the vacation. Is it additional money out of the employer, or no deduction from the salary?
Yeah, it's okay. So if you're okay,
Kailangan talaga nilang bayaran.
that when you work with Bituach agency, okay, everybody knows what is Bituach agency, right?
Yes.
Then the Bituach agency also accumulate dates for you. Okay, you are working for the employer and for them. So they also have days for you. So sometimes you will get salary from Bituach for your vacation days on your salary, okay? On your Bituach salary.
Depending on the Bituach. Some Bituach pays monthly and it's part of the salary. Some Bituach
you may get it, yes. Okay. And also this is right also for sick leave, okay? If you are getting sick leave, probably the first payment for sick leave will be from the Bituach, okay? So you have to show the bituach your certificate for sick leave.
Pinira na eh.
I have a question. Is it the same if some are employed by private?
So,
or
pag hindi
Naman na sa recap mo.
do they get the same benefit?
Okay, so this is a very...
Listen na, sino dito yung mga private?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody here, no, who is working with bituach?
It's only few. Most of them are private.
Most of them are private. That's interesting. Okay. Okay.
Naguluhan ako.
Just my answer is it depends.
Safe answer ah.
Listen kayo.
I am asked many times what is better, and I cannot say. In general, remember when you have bituach, then the pitsuim and pension are actually deposits to the deposit fund to the pigdonot and can be given only when you leave the country in the airport, and 15% will go to income tax, and if you overstay there will be deductions. So it's better that you get everything directly from the employer and you are private. On the other hand, if you are private, maybe the employer will not want or will not be able to pay everything. So depending if the employer is affluent enough, has enough money, and he wants to be fair and so on. So it really depends as far as the end of the employment. Another thing.
So what will you do if the employer did not pay everything?
Actually, right now, many bituach agencies pay you more than their part because they pay more than the minimum wage per hour. If you work with bituach, it's hourly. So, okay, if they pay more than their part, does it mean the employer should pay less than his part? Well, the law, in real life, that's what usually is being done. But the law says no, the employer should still pay his part, even if you get more from the bituach agency. The perfect example was discussed before, a couple. If both of them get bituach, okay, then the salary of the caregiver should be more and should stay with the caregiver, not with the employer. This is a perfect example. But listen, all of this is not easy to get because the assumptions of all families, of course, is that whatever is given more from the bituach, it's for them actually, it's for the old people. So they don't want, they don't even know that you are entitled to get more because of the bituach. You should fight for it if you are in bituach. One benefit definitely that exists for private, a lot of you are private, is that the calculations are simple because there is no specific considerations because of the bituach and so on. So then we can easily tell, or you can easily tell the employer what he needs to pay and what you expect. But this is a minor benefit.
Okay, anything about holiday, about vacation before we continue? Yeah.
I'm from good morning. I'm from Bituak, so I wanted to know if my employer wants me to stay, but I have 14 days vacations. But if my employer wants me to stay, how about the salary is it
With additional.
I pay the additional pay?
Okay, so as we said, if you're staying your vacation, okay, and until lately, most of the time the employer are paying for this, but the law says that you get your money for vacation only when you go on vacation. Okay?
You see?
But now, it doesn't mean that you won't be getting this money, okay? But I want to tell you what the law says, okay? Okay, let's continue to holidays. Yeah, another question, Ken.
When it comes to recuperation,
Yeah, please, I want to hear the question.
when it comes to recuperation, is it mandatory that we are given a recuperation?
Yeah.
Because I have a friend. She was sent out to avoid payment for recuperation.
She was what?
She was
Released.
She was released to avoid the. She
Yeah.
was going out.
It's not, okay, so if she was released, it's not only for recuperation, it's also for a for severance,
Parang di
for
makuha.
separation.
To avoid to pay her
With
the
operation.
recuperation, she will.
Yeah, this is something, okay, so first of all, you need to know that, you all need to know that if you are fired, like very closely to the first year, okay, if you are let go very closely to the first year, there is a chance you will be indeed entitled for separation and for other rights. But every case is different, okay, because according to the law, if you are let go very close to the end of the year, okay, then the law assumes you were let go because they didn't want to pay you your benefits, okay? So, if indeed this happens, then consult Kabloved, consult someone you trust.
Even the agency know.
Even the agency should know it, yes.
Yeah. But on the other hand, if the employer, well, let's differentiate between two cases. One case, the employer released you after 11 and a half months. Then the employer should pay everything. Another case, if the employer died after 11 and a half months, then indeed you are not entitled for recuperation and not for full separation pay, because they didn't do it, they didn't die in order to avoid. And there are some cases like Metan said, that are in between. Like the employer was transferred to a nursing home.
Yeah.
So was it because there was no other choice? Then maybe no recuperation and separation.
Sa akin ay, haba ko naman ay, wala akong kinuha.
Pero pag lipat daw sa home for it, ano daw?
No? Entitled for recuperation and separation. So, case by case.
Case by case ang sagot.
Yes.
My friend is already 1 year, and then her employer said you can go out on like that. So for 1 year it is a 6 days. So the employer said you can go out on that 6 days, and
No.
we will not pay you.
Recuperation is only, recuperation is not based on. Okay, so let's discuss this later because it's a specific question, okay? I'm not sure it's on topic 100%, but let's talk to us about this later in the Q&A, okay? Yes?
About the obligation, I would like to ask, I'm forced to go out because my patient and the family went out, they went to Dubai, and I'm forced to go to have my vacation leave for 4 days.
Okay.
And then another is holidays, they went to London, and then they have another 8 days again, and they forced me to go out. Is it possible that I can tell them?
Unfortunately, they are allowed to decide when you go on vacation.
Okay, so we will have a, because I'm planning.
But they have to pay you, right? They have to pay you like regular salary. The regular salary.
The regular salary.
They have to pay you the regular salary because this is your vacation days, yeah?
Yes, but it is just like unfair to us because I'm planning to have my vacation because I'm 1 year and 2 months now. I'm planning to have my vacation on December.
Yeah.
But they said that you cannot accumulate that because.
Yeah, but you can take time off, like you can take leave without payment.
Yes, additional for it.
Yeah.
I'm requesting for 1 month, and then I'm thinking of it because I request that 1 month of vacation leave, vacation, and then they will give me the 14 days as a payment for vacation leave, just like that. But they said that it cannot be possible.
Okay, so if you got your salary when you were on vacation, regular salary, they're not supposed to pay you more. They're supposed to pay you for 14 days a year. Okay.
14 days lang.
And you can
Rupa,
take
14
leave without
days.
payment for extra.
So we don't have any conversation to them that I don't want to go out because they were living all by myself in the house. So I need to get out my vacation leave for them.
You understand that this is the law, and it's also a problem for many Israelis because many companies close for all of Passover, close for all of the coast. And then the Israeli worker doesn't have chance to take vacation when he wants for payment.
Yung vacation pala, yung 14 days babayaran lang pag ginamit. Pag hindi mo ginamit, hindi babayaran.
Okay, and like
Kaya mitin mo na lang.
because we're getting like really like baby steps here. No.
To be easy, ma'am, it's good thing that you have to take your vacation.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it will
Take your vacation. I mean, the law wants the worker to take the vacation. Okay?
Accumulated up to 3 years.
So when you take your vacation,
So,
you get
up
your
to 3
money.
years. So, pwede hindi mo siya gamitin ng first
Just a
year.
point, okay?
Susunod na year,
When
magamit
you
mo
take
siya.
your vacation, take it. It is not dependent on your employer to take your vacation because sometimes we feel nahihiya or we feel shy.
Okay, I do want to say that it is like the employer has to approve your vacation, right? You cannot go on vacation without coordinating it with the employer.
Tanong pala, yung 14 days is annual
And
yearly.
as we said before, which is something very important, you don't have to supply a reliever in order for you to
Paid
get
annual
go.
vacation.
Okay, let's move on, okay?
7 days, sabi niya. Gulungan niya, tapos
So,
14 days ka na.
moreover than the annual vacation, in Jews have 9 days a year. Sorry, this is really, I want to, okay. So, every worker in Israel is entitled to get 9 days of holidays, of festivals, okay? How many holidays are there?
14 days in 2 years pa lang.
Okay. So when you start working with your employer, okay, and if you didn't do it until now, then it's good even to do it now, okay? You need to decide which days you're choosing to go on on holiday, okay? Now, this is something that you should coordinate with your employer when you start working, okay? And they should know which date every year you're supposed to go out on your holiday, okay? Like a annual, like a weekly rest day, the payment for holiday, if you get minimum wage or less, is this, okay? 361.68. 361.168 and 68 above. Okay, like 362 shekels. But you need to know that if your holiday is on your day off, like this year Christmas is on a Sunday and Sunday is your day off anyway, okay? You do not get double payment, okay? So you do not get double payment, and the payment is only if you're staying, okay? So if you're staying, if the Christmas is on Sunday and Sunday is your day off and you're working, you're getting only one payment, like 362 shekels, okay? It's not double. Yeah. If you're going out for your vacation, you are not getting paid anything extra of your salary. Yes?
I have a question. Since you are talking about the holidays, are we allowed to use the holidays next on our day off?
I didn't.
Like we're taking our day off, and then can we take the holiday on the next day?
Transfer. Transfer.
According to the law, it should be on the date.
Date itself.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pero tayo,
But if the
of
employer
course,
allows.
if your employer allows it,
Yan naman pala eh.
they can give you a day off without deducting anything, right? But
Yeah, well, the employers in general don't agree to it, and the law is holiday is a holiday. Christmas cannot be postponed
By the law.
okay, yes.
Yes kayong lahat ha?
On Friday, and then the holiday that I choose falls on Thursday. Can I take my holiday Thursday and then
Hindi nga daw.
Yes,
Ang sabi ko ba hindi ko?
Okay, let's
Pwede
move
nga sa
on.
amin.
Children, because I did that already.
Okay, let's talk about rights when you finish your work. Okay, so as you know, we have private and we have bituach, okay? People that are working only with private employers, the situation is different. It's easier for us in a sense because you can calculate very easily your rights, but sometimes employers do not pay the benefits, as you probably heard. And when there's a bituach agency, you know that you will be getting at least some of the money to the deposit in the airport. Okay. I don't know if you even know what I'm talking about, but I will explain everything now. Okay. So private employers are employers that are paying directly to their workers the money each month. Okay. And I want to talk about. The fact that now people that are working with bituach, okay, the situation is very, very. Every side should pay for their share. Okay, bituach is paying for their share, the family is paying for their share. It's very hard to determine what is the share since the employment is so different from bituach to private, like some of the parts of the bituach and parts of the private. But and unfortunately, we are trying to change that it will be more clear for the caregivers and for the employers. Also, the employers do not really know what to do and what to pay when the employment ends. Okay, but I want to talk in general about what rights you are able to receive when you finish the job. Okay, and also as a private worker, and also as a bituach worker that works parallelly, bituach and employer. Okay. Okay. So I want to talk about pension. Okay, in general, what is pension? What's going on with pension? So, according to the law, private employers are supposed to save for you money on the side for your pension, okay? The basic pension is 12.5% since your 7th month of working, okay? So the employer is supposed to keep on the side, since your 7th month of working, 12.5% of minimum wage or your salary, depending what's higher, okay? Not including Shabbat, not including weekly day off. and to put on the side each month for you this 12.5%. How many people, how many private employers are doing that? I would say 6, like from the 57,000, okay? They're not doing that. And they're not doing that not only because it's just the Israeli government does not really help them with where to put it, how to put it on the side, etc., etc. Okay? So, pension is something that you receive since even if you decide to leave the job. Okay? Pension is something that is, according to the Israeli law, is obligatory for every worker, and for caregivers that does not have like a pension fund since the 7th month of your work. This 12.5%, okay, you're supposed to get it. What it consists of is two. Is the pension 6.5%, and a component of the separation pay, which is 6.5%, which is 6%. Okay, this is a lot, I know, but this is something that you should know in general. Okay, that from the 7th month, the employer should put on the side for you, and this money you are receiving no matter what. If you leave the job, if you stay, if the employer passes away, this amount of money is yours anyway. Okay. Now, we will talk about dismissal after that, but you need to know that when a person is dismissed, we'll talk about that later. And I want to talk a little bit about bituach. What is bituach putting on the side, okay? Bituach agency should put on the side, since day one, the full separation pay. Full pension and separation pay, they should put in a specific fund that is under your name, in a bank in the airport, okay? It's administrated by PBAC, by the immigration, and the money that is there is kept for you as long as you are documented in Israel and as long as you are not staying without a visa, okay? If you stay with visa, if you stay without visa, if you overstay, then after 8 months or something like that, the money will be gone. Okay, it's a little bit by little bit. But if you have good reasoning for that, let's say you had like a medical issue or stuff like that, they may not deduct this money. Okay, but this is something that you need to ask for, right? The agencies should assist you to get this money when you leave Israel if you're documented that everything is okay. If you have problems and you overstayed for good reasons, and no judgments about this, but if you overstayed because you had a medical issue, you had a humanitarian issue, you were misled by agency or by employer or something like that, this is something we help with in Compilation, okay?
I want to say,
but this is something that is, you're new in Israel, but this is something that you should know.
Yeah. One thing that you have to know, if you haven't paid by your private employer or not private, all the money, and even if you submitted something to the court, this is not considered a justified reason to stay in Israel. It's not like medical reason or being misled by agencies. So if some people feel or think that if they submit a case to the court, this will actually protect them in Israel and prevent the deduction from the airport money? No, unfortunately, this is not true. Okay?
Yummy. Oo, meron. Kasi sa yun nakapangalan yun sa pika dun.
Okay, so the Bituach agency puts this in the deposit. The private employer does not do basically anything, and they most of the time pay the amount when you finish working. Okay, and if now, can you go to the next slide? So full separation pay, which is like severance and pension, okay, will be paid now. I will not go into details of what exactly it consists. Yeah, it's like, but it's approximately, it's close to 20% of your salary since the 7th month, but it's different. Anyway, this is what allows you to get full separation pay. Okay. If the caregiver was fired, if the employer passed away, if the employer transferred to a nursing home or any other institute, if the caregiver became too sick, if the caregiver gave birth and left the job in order to take care of the child, if the female caregiver became 62 years old and wants to retire, and of course there are other reasons that you can get full separation pay if you had to leave the job because of harassment or abuse, or you were threatened or stuff like that. There is a big chance that you will be able to get your full separation, but probably only by the court, right? If the family does not want to give this amount, okay? But these cases, and of course the most
kung private ka, wala kang pika dun.
Common cases are like the first three, right? If you leave the job, you are entitled only for your pension money, and also your yearly rights accumulated until the time that you left the job. Okay? But if you did not finish a year, then you are not entitled for recuperation anyway. Yeah? And if you did not finish a year, you're also not entitled for full severance anyway. So the severance and the recuperation happen only when a year is finished. A year of work is finished. Okay? Okay.
Year finished.
Next slide, please. Okay, I want to talk about resignation. Okay, and this is something that also we were asked to elaborate about, and we have here something that we published in 2012 when the new law was introduced, and it also has what we have here also has some kind of form that you can write when you wish to resign your job. Okay? So, first of all, I want to talk about the fact that when you come to Israel and you try your work, this is something that I want to say that is outside of this, okay? When you come to Israel and you start to work, and then you're feeling uncomfortable, or the work does not suit you, or stuff like that, okay? Since you signed a contract from the Philippines and you were supposed to know what's going on with the employer, it's important that you indeed try your best to stay at the job, okay? We are saying that not only because not only because we think that definitely not because we want you to stay at the job that is not good for you, okay? But we have, sorry, can you please be more quiet? But we are saying that in order to let you know that the government of Israel is very keen on checking that people are living for justified reasons, okay? Now, this is your right to leave a job that you don't want, okay? Even, I don't know, there is no explanation of what is justified reasons, okay? But we want to give you some information about how to do it and to be, in order for you to be safe after, okay? So, there is a specific law for caregivers about prior notice, okay? A caregiver must give a longer prior notice than any other worker in Israel, okay? You are not allowed to leave your employer without prior notice, unless, you know, there's violence or you're threatened or you are harassed or things like that, okay? And even so, everything should be documented. The agency should know about everything that's happened, okay? So let's go over what is required from you if you decide to leave the job, okay? First of all, we have a timeline here, okay? So even if you work between 7 days and even if you work like 10 days in this place, you have to give us 7 days prior notice, okay?
Written.
Yeah, we will go over on what you need exactly to do, okay?
Okay.
3 to 6 months, 14 days, 6 until 12 months, 21 days, and after a year, 1 month, okay? Now, let's talk about what this, you know what? Please take these, okay? We have here like something that explains what is prior notice and also have a form of what a prior notice can be.
Okay.
So, the prior notice should be written.
Ako. Wala kami.
Isa.
Uy, isa.
Okay.
Sino pa wala? Just Sarah.
I think
we can Xerox this one.
okay. Yeah.
Ano ba ito nakalagay?
Okay. So the prior notice should be written not only to the employer, and if the employer is not the person to handle your employment, but the son or the daughter or whoever, the person that is in charge of your employment should receive the prior notice, okay? Now, you should keep a copy with you anyway, but also use WhatsApp. Send this on WhatsApp so you will have proof that you gave a notice, okay? Keep your information with you. Also, you have to send the agency. The agency should also get a copy of this notice, and you should give the notice like written here in these days to the agency and to the family. Okay, the family cannot tell you you have to stay after your prior notice. Okay, but keep everything documented, because if the family will go to PIBA, okay, immigration, and tell them that you left the employer without.
The agency said that the employer needs an approval of the prior notice before they can leave. So they're afraid to leave because the employer wouldn't sign. Is it the common practice?
If the employer will not sign, I mean, the employer can answer your WhatsApp. The employer, you can show like a double V blue at the WhatsApp, right? you can show that there was a reaction. You can call and record the call, okay? Keep it. I know it sounds like police work, but it's written in past. So we have to, I think, and I also say it in, not only on these issues, okay? Communication with the family is top priority, even though it may be hard sometimes, right? I know.
Okay.
Rega, it's top priority. When you give a notice, it should be very, very clear, and it should be as written here, and it should be also well thought of, okay? Because if we give a prior notice just because, you know, we're not feeling well, we have to go, and then we give another, and then we decide not to do it, and then we give another prior notice, and then, you know. So, in order for you to protect yourself, your obligation to stand on this obligation is very important. And then Zabit will say something, and then we will ask you a question.
Okay. The situation is really hard. It's more complicated than just the notice and the communication. The most common situation and question that I hear about is, okay, we gave the notice, and the family said, you have to stay until a reliever comes.
Yes, very common.
And the agency says the same thing. Okay, but you have to stay until the reliever comes. Okay, one situation that you should really avoid, whether you gave a notice or you didn't give a notice, is if a completely dependent patient is there and he is alone, and even if you wrote the notice, you cannot leave somebody in this situation alone. You would be even be blamed for murder or this is very, very important. So, okay, what my advice was that 2 days before you leave, or 1 week and 2 days, you write again to the family and to the agency, I'm sorry, but I have to leave, please remember it. And then at the time that you leave, hopefully there will be at least a family member there, and then you go directly to the agency and say, I have to leave, please note that I left. So it's not going to be, I'm talking about extreme cases, but we have to avoid the extreme cases, okay? These are the most dangerous, okay? So send a reminder, send again, talk again to the agency, even if the agency are shouting at you or whatever, but you have to do this anyhow. Reminder of the notice and so on. Okay, now you may decide that you are willing to wait until a reliever comes. Then you write at the last day or whatever, I'm willing to extend my stay here for 2 more weeks or whatever, talk on the dates or whatever, and give, you can extend it, because again, we have to think about reality and the situation, okay? So you can extend it, but do it in writing again, okay? So it's not going to be fluid like Meital suggested. And then there is the situation that Meital will talk about it, of leaving right when you come, or 2 weeks after you come, or 2 months after you come, not about after a year or so. And this situation is especially sensitive, and actually it even risks our agreements to come without brokerage fees, because people people try to say that because caregivers came without brokerage fees, then they feel free to leave right away, and this is a big problem. So, Metal, maybe you should talk about this volatile situation.
Okay, so, yeah. So first of all, I want to say, if you feel uncomfortable, yeah, I remember you. I remember you, but let me just finish and I will call you, okay?
Hola.
But I just want to say about leaving the job right when you, even like, when you come and you understand you don't want to stay and something was off, you didn't get the full information, you understand that you cannot do this job, you can, this is something that is very, very, understandable. Even when you do that, okay? The government is now really on it. So our suggestion to you guys is, if you do that, you have to be very, very specific about the reasons you wish to leave. You have to explain the reasons, you have to show the reasons, and you have to show, and I know it's hard, it's your decision. It's hard, and I cannot tell you don't leave, okay? I don't want to tell you don't leave. As Kabla Oved, I definitely do not want to tell you don't leave, okay? in Kabla Oved, we see, we think that it is your right to do it, but I want to tell you 3 things that you should know. The first thing is, if you wish to leave your job, you need to be very, very specific about what happened, okay? Even if you're noticed, even when you talk with your agency, keep it documented, as we said before.
Especially after a short time.
Especially after a short time.
After 1 year.
Also, you need to know, if you leave 3 jobs in 2 years, not being dismissed, right, or deprioritized. If you decide to resign from 3 jobs in 2 years, they may ask you to come for a hearing at the immigration to show that you are not using your permit, okay? Now, this is something that I'm saying that is very, I don't like to say it, okay, because I'm not the representative of PIBA, and I'm the representative of the workers. I think the workers are the ones that are important here, okay? But indeed, some carefulness, I was looking for another word, carefulness is needed in this stage, okay? In order to protect yourselves and to protect the agreement. I'm not saying stay where you're abused. I'm not saying stay where you're uncomfortable. I'm not saying if you suffer violence, or if you suffer, even if you suffer things that are less than violence, okay? I'm not saying stay, but be smart and use the tools that we are giving you here in terms of communication, in terms of being very accurate about your situation, and accurate and also consistent about your situation should be helpful in the terms of leaving a job soon after you come to Israel.
I do recommend, like within the first 3 months, if the job is okay, but you found and you had another job for 500 shekel more, if it's not yet 3 months, reconsider, okay? These are the situations that if you have already worked there for 1 year, and then you don't have to give the reasons. In the prior notice, you don't have to put reasons, okay? But if you are in the first few, 3 months especially, but even 6 months, then think about, reconsider the situation, and if the agency is shouting to you, you will be deported back to your country, you don't have to take them seriously, and if there is a problem, you can come to Kabla Oved. But reconsider. Think about it. Everything.
Consider. I don't even want to reconsider. Consider.
Okay.
Yes, please. She's waiting very patiently. Yeah.
Sino ba yun?
Yes, ma'am. I tried to write my resignation, then I took a picture and sent to my agency, and then the agency, instead of asking why I resigned and what happened, and he told me that I don't want to see you in court.
I don't want to see you in court?
Yes.
Yeah, well, many agencies threaten caregivers now. Especially caregivers that did not pay them a lot of black money. So you need, when you come to the situation where a resignation is happening and the agency is threatening you, okay, without any specific reason, it's not like you abandoned the employer, you're doing stuff like you need to do according to the law, you are protected, okay? And you are allowed to leave this agency, okay? And my suggestion to you also, in this sense, okay, is if you did something, you did something lawful, okay? You didn't do something against the law. If they are threatening you, it's not that. You have to go to your agency within 7 days, and they have to give you employers for you, new employers for you to choose from. And the regulation says that 3 strikes you're out, okay? So after 3 times that you say no for unjustified reasons that are not specified in the regulation, okay? We don't know what is unjustified reasons. After 3 times you say no, PIBA may call you for a hearing before deportation because you are abusing your to check if you're abusing your permit. Okay. Now, of course, I don't know if you know, but between jobs you have 90 days, right? You have to find a job within 90 days. So this is something that is very restrictive of these 90 days. But it's very, very new. It was just introduced like in the beginning of October, okay, so less than a month. Exactly a month. It's 2nd of October, I think.
And we ask if anybody is actually impacted by this and is told to leave the country because of such a situation. Please come to Compilation.
Now, this is something very important, okay? We are trying now to gather information about the implementation of this clause, okay, of this new clause in the regulation. So we want to hear stories about that. We want to hear how the agencies are handling it, okay? We don't know what will be. I think this is something just to scare caregivers from working